It's quite interesting what is happening in Senegal, west of Africa. After 12 years of the dominance of the outgoing government, it looks like a new dawn is before us. That new dawn is coming in the shape of two young men, Sonko and Faye. Africa is finally heading to the right direction.
Welcome to King Said So, Africa's one land, one language, one currency, one army on King Said So. Africans can unite. Your Pan-Africanist podcast. Enjoy.
Black Heart, the hustle continua. 100% good quality t-shirts, made to inspire your goals and dreams. T-shirts are now available at an affordable price. Place your order now. 068-473-6908. Instagram at Black7576. Facebook page Black Heart.
Peace in Pan-Africanism to all my African brothers and sisters from all around the world. Welcome back to King Said So. I'm your host, King 053, Mr. Easy Imali Ening, and we're back at it again with another one. And this time around, we are in Africa, in the west part of Africa, in Senegal to be exact, where the saying of a wise man comes into place that power it's not given, but power is taken. Now, I want to say a new dawn is before us as young African leaders, where the young lions are taking over from the old, wounded, and toothless lions that have been roaming around and ruling Africa for some time. Our African leaders, especially in the West, are puppets to France. France has been running the west of Africa with an iron fist. And finally, we started seeing a rebellious attack towards France by the form of Burkina Faso, Mali, and Niger, who said enough is enough. Now, we were waiting to see if Ghana, we were waiting to see if Nigeria, we were waiting to see if Cote d'Ivoire, we were waiting to see if Senegal will take any action to what France is doing to them. And finally, by God's appointment, a young man has emerged as a victor of the elections in Senegal. Now, when we're speaking about Desmai Faye and Usman Sonko, we're speaking about two young men that were destined for greatness. These are law degrees, students. The current president, current incoming president, Desmai Faye, has got a master's degree in law. He's only 44 years old. He was born the same day I was born, 25th of March. And the opposition parties and the leading ruling party has submitted their admission that they have been defeated to the election on Monday. So he's the incoming president. On his birthday, this announcement was made. This is a young man that was working as a tax collector for many years, working hand in hand with his brother, Usman Sonko. Usman Sonko is the founder and leader of Pastef party, and it was him who was supposed to be the coming president. But God has it that a different direction was taken. Now the new president is there uh, to bring about change in Africa. I'm very interested in what he was saying. There's a speech that he made. One of you guys sent me the speech. I believe is the owner of Black Heart Clothing sent me this speech, or someone. So many people have asked me to speak about this question. I've recorded before the elections, but something happened to my footage when I was editing, and then I decided not um, to upload it. But what Desmond Faye has said on this speech about France in particular, it, 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 it gave us hope as an African continent, that really we are having leaders that are not puppets. We are having leaders that have got a backbone. And it takes young men. I told you, no revolution in Africa will ever happen without the youth. The youth is more than 55%. I believe 60% of African people are youth. So you need the youth to take over. Listen to what the incoming president, Mr. Faye, said.
It is high time for France to lift its knee off our neck and put an end to this unjust oppression. Centuries of misery, human trafficking, colonization, and neocolonization have caused immeasurable suffering. It's time to put an end to this cycle of oppression. It's high time for France to leave us alone. It's time for France to take a cue from its European neighbors and learn a valuable lesson in independence. Germany is the leading economic power in Europe, significantly surpassing France, which is ranked as the third or fourth largest economic power globally. Germany does not exploit any country, any colony. I can mention Italy, I can mention Spain, who had colonies before, but who do not exploit anyone, who do not interfere, who do not impose leaders in their former colonies. On what grounds does France believe it can continue to impose leaders on us and make choices on our behalf? This must come to an end. And the emerging Africa, the African youth, the African elites, and the African diaspora all stand united in saying no, it cannot continue any longer. France's hypocrisy is evident and pervasive in daily life. Let's examine the cases of Mali and Chad as prime examples of this hypocrisy. In Chad, where the constitutional process has been interrupted, France applauded and its president visited to officially consecrate the new king's coronation ceremony. In Mali, where it is not the constitutional process that has been interrupted, but the transition process, France has condemned and even packed up its things to say that it is leaving Mali. That's hypocrisy. It's the double standard. It is the double language that France employs in its dealings with Africa. During our questioning of Mr. Jean-Yves Le Drian regarding the situation in Ivory Coast and France's decision to allow a third term, he provided a clear explanation. He stated that while he accepted the third term for Ouattara, he refuses it for Belarus. He emphasized that France has condemned the situation in Belarus and has actively encouraged the European Union to do the same. Le Drian explains that in Belarus, millions protested, unlike Ivory Coast, where there were no mass demonstrations on the streets. This is how France deals with African issues. Personally, we expect absolutely nothing from France. We desire her to cease meddling in our matters so that the people of Senegal can exercise their freedom of choice rather than being influenced by France's selection of a candidate using the tactics we are aware of. We begin by targeting individuals, adorning them with the Legion of Honor or a similar knightly rank, enlisting them in Masonic lodges, and informing them to prepare themselves as they will be next in line. Even the hypothesis that Macky Sall may not succeed, we know who is being prepared by France. This must come to an end. It will not occur in this manner any longer. Let's be clear. We have absolutely nothing against the French people. In France, both political and citizen voices are rising to hold and express the same discourse as the one I am currently presenting to you. For example, the deputies, such as Mrs. Frédérique Dumas, who regularly speaks on the platform of the Assembly, who regularly writes to the Minister of Foreign Affairs, since she is a member of the Foreign Affairs Committee, to raise this unfair behavior of France towards Africa, hold the same speech as us. The same Mr. Jean-Luc Mélenchon, Jean-Paul Lecoq, André Chassaigne, all deputies, hold the same discourse as us, and hundreds of other voices. The NGOs, like other non-profit organizations, are doing remarkable work in the same direction. We strongly urge France to listen to the voices that speak to it about our plan for a more collaborative, fairer, and sustainable partnership between Africa and France. It is crucial that we work together towards a future that is equitable, just, and environmentally conscious. If she listens, I believe we'll have beautiful days ahead in our collaboration together. If he doesn't know how to cut it, thinking he can continue to function like in the time of our grandfathers, this African youth no longer accepts it. France must make preparations for a definitive break and completely withdraw from Africa. Africa belongs to Africans, not France. She belongs to no one else, neither China, nor the United States, nor anyone else.
Now, to try and put things in more of content so that you guys can understand what is happening here. After Usman has formed the PASTEF political party, he was leading it. Usman was considered as, what example can I make? The Ibrahim Touré of Senegal. He is seen as the Julius Malema of Senegal. Very outspoken, fearless, always attacking the government, always putting his life on the line for what he believes in. And now it looks like they might actually get it. They are actually on the way of getting it and getting into the White House of Ghana. We must change this White House European and American concept. Usman was arrested, ladies and gentlemen. The first time he was arrested was because of fake rape charges. You know how these people are. If they can beat you politically, they try to imprison you and try to demoralize your campaigning and everything. He got out because those charges never stood in the court system. There was not enough evidence. And then he was rearrested again for leading the youth astray, working against the government, and all of that. Now, when we come to Desmae Fair, he was also arrested. I believe he was arrested on the 14th of April 2023. This is a man that is coming fresh out of prison with two wives. Two wives, and every African man deserves two wives, by the way, if you can afford them. And he comes out 10 days after being arrested to be announced as the incoming president. I mean, what type of, when something is meant for you, nothing can stop you. And this is exactly what is happening here. The president tried to delay everything. I mean, he came out January, not even January, February. They were supposed to have an election in February. He then changed it and said, listen, this election will run on the 4th of December. He said, no, we will elect in December. We are still stabilizing the country. But that request was denied by the High Court in Senegal. They said, listen, no, this is wrong. You need to give a new date and make sure that election happen ASAP. So I was very happy to see that the courts had some form of independence and not listening to the president, because they could see that the youth of Ghana is getting reckless and they want change by all means. So we are happy that the court have managed to take out Sonko. They've managed to release Faye. They managed to release this young man so that at least the elections can continue. They thought if they released them 10 days before the election that they would probably lose the election. They wouldn't have enough time to campaign, throughout the whole country. But they made sure the young people of Ghana, they stood up and made sure that they kick out this government that has been ruling for the past 12 years now and do nothing but kiss the ass of the French government. I mean, enough is enough. Senegal is very different from other African countries. Power is always transferred. Let me use, for lack of a better term, peacefully. Yeah, power is always transferred relatively peacefully. There is some fights here and there, but usually when the elections are done and dusted, the winners are the winners and the losers accept that they have lost. So it was it was up behind that mindset that we see that culture continuing in Senegal, where the losers are saying, okay, we can see this young man has won and we're going to step aside and allow the new dawn to come. And one thing I can tell you that I want us to learn from what is happening in Senegal is the character of Usman Sonko. Usman Sonko is a true leader. He is the one actually that must be president, if we were honest. He is the one. It's because of his arrest and his terms and everything behind him that the government was trying to destroy him, that he did not make it up there. But when Usman speaks about Faye, he says this man is more clever than me, is more strategic than me, is more aggressive than me. The only thing I'm better than him is my handsome looks. And we saw that in South Africa when Julius Malema speaks about Mbuyiseni Ndlozi. He says there's no other politician who is more complete when it comes to politics than Mbuyiseni Ndlozi. It is nice to see young men praising each other while they are still alive and not fighting each other. So we are watching closely what is going to happen to Sonko and Faye. I mean, Faye respects and loves Usman so much that he named one of his children after Usman. He named the child Usman. So it is so nice to see two young brothers in Africa coming and saying, "Listen, we're going to run this race together." We as Africans need to learn from that. We all don't have to be the leaders. We all don't have to be in charge. We all don't have to have the last say. But as long as one of us is in and we are be able to contribute by putting our contribution to the table, that should be enough. Not all of us must have all the power. So I'm very interested on how they're going to run this. Is this political party going to stay intact without Usman being the face, or are they going to take Fair out in the later times and put Usman in? Because Usman actually is the one that is supposed to be the president of Senegal as we speak now. But God wrote a different script that we did not expect. I mean, and it's nice to hear the incoming president speaking about the CFA franc. He says we must remove this currency from our country. We must remove the stronghold of French on our country. We must reclaim the dignity of our Senegalese people. So I'm very happy with what is happening in Senegal, ladies and gentlemen. We are ought to watch these two men very closely. We ought to support them. We need to pray for them and make sure that these young men, as African brothers and sisters, we give them all the support. Their country, if they don't face sanctions like Burkina Faso, Mali, and Niger, they're going to face coup attacks. They're going to face rebel attacks. There's so many things that is going to happen to these two young men because they have decided to go after the master and they are saying, "Master, we are no longer your slaves." A lot of things is going to happen. You're going to see a lot of killings. You're going to see a lot of things. So for our Senegalese brothers and sisters, stay fast, be strong, and be ready for war that is coming into Senegal because the West never gives up power easily. Support these two young men. Support them with your bodies, support them in social media, support them physically, financially, however you need to support these two young men, support them to run the country successfully because they're going to attack them. They are going to be tested. But at least we have two lawyers there that have got the minds that to run parliament, to run everything that I mean they were already in parliament, these two young men. So we know they understand what it is to run government. And many other parties, by the way, are siding with them. So that is very refreshing to see. And yeah, we have to do more of African news. I agree with that. I'll commit a day. I think it's Monday mornings that I'll commit a day where I do uploads for you guys about African news like I used to do, man. I mean, South Africa has taken all our attention with Mkhonto Wesizwe and the EFF and all of that. Our election is coming in less than 60 days. So we want to see what's going to happen in South Africa because that's going to shape what is happening in the SADC part of Africa and also in the whole of Africa if we can also manage to elect a new young leader. It's we don't know what's going to happen. We don't know what's going to happen. We're waiting for it. So Thank you so much for tuning in, guys. I hope you enjoy this news of the new president of the Senegalese people, and also you have gained some knowledge as to what actually happened. I can actually do a little bit more of a background research and give you guys more. If you wanted, just type part 2 on the comment section and we can do that for you guys. Until we meet next time, don't forget to pray. And after you pray, stand up, African child. Do your best so that God can do the rest. Peace in Pan Africanism. I salute you.